Welcome to Shelf Help, a channel dedicated to talking into the void about whatever book I happen to be reading. I am your host, the reader. The following review will contain spoilers. In the Judeo beliefs encompassing the Islamic, Jewish, and Christian religions, there is one God who is all of the omnis, omniscient, omnipresent, omnibenevolent. I'm not going to go into the deep nitty-gritty of religious history, but one ideal that unites them under a single banner is a long and current history of colonization and conversion at the point of a sword. Enter the Everlorn Empire and their god incarnate. They have spent thousands of years turning countries into an empire. They sweep in with overwhelming force, crush any resistance, slay the gods, and burn the churches. Once the population is cowed, churches to the God incarnate are built, and worship is mandatory. Language centers with enforced attendance teach the imperial language, especially to the children. All behavior not in line with the empire ideals is met with death. A favorite of the empire is the dead flags, where the executed hang till they rot so the public can see the price of rebellion. And the evils the empire would save the heathens from? Women-owned businesses, living and loving as a non-straight individual, any form of worship not given to the God incarnate. Now, as a general rule, I don't like fantasy Christianity in my book, but that applies to when the book just tosses in a religion just to have one, and just uses the Judeo model because it's all the author knows. It comes off as lazy. But in this case, the critique of religion is the point. That, of course, is not to say that other religions are perfect, be they real or fanciful. The history of the lion, the serpent, and the butterfly is proof of that. But Everlorn, as the Judeo stand-in, is definitely the one showing its ass. The concept of the divine in this series is fascinating. Gods are independent beings who can make choices, but they are bound within the beliefs of their followers. The God incarnate is only invincible so long as those who worship him believe that to be true. The butterfly is a pacifist spirit of nature, unless a cult in need of a savior were to worship her as a fiery war goddess. Is the serpent who he believes himself to be, or is he the betrayer the followers of the lion preached? This actually follows real-world practices. The God of the Torah is very different and much less omni than the modern interpretations by Christian and Islam. What unites all these gods is that they are, well, out of place. In Everlorn's march across the continent, it displaces all the gods it encounters, either by killing their physical bodies, slaughtering their worshippers, and/or enslaving them. But even Everlorn's God incarnate, if not physically missing, is disconnected from his duties. While every other god in the story attends their followers, even when they no longer have physical bodies, the God incarnate functions more like a king. There are no scenes of him answering any of the endless stream of prayers he can always hear, but he does spend time with advisors and priests and handling the affairs of state. What good is a god that never answers prayers? While gods give background and context to the world, it's the characters who make the story. Cyrus is the vagrant. Or is he? Since the beginning, what the vagrant and those who pray to him demand, and what Cyrus wants as an individual, are often in conflict. Kells was a paladin who lost her faith and found it again, and had to confront that loss and the goddess who was silent in her darkest hour. The Ali sisters, raised in war. Stanza and the truths kept from her. Mary, always giving of herself in so many ways. Thorda, fighting a losing war of revenge that may kill the last of his family. Arin, torn between the brother he loves and his own conscience. For me, Kells and Cyrus are the most interesting. Both are born of royal bloodlines, both lost their throne, both embraced by a god and became more than human in Thanet's darkest hour. They are the rebirth and the dark descent, the flame and the shadow, grace and vengeance. For Cyrus, it's always been a question of who is really in charge. While Cyrus usually seems to be the one holding the reins, the vagrant never misses a chance to whisper in his ear. He is compelled to cut the bloody crown into the slain. Cyrus can resist, but not forever. The vagrant must have his due. It's a promise and a threat. As I said, gods are independent beings, but confined and defined by the prayers of their followers. No one prays to the vagrant for healing. Those go to the butterfly. Prayers for bountiful fishing season and good weather go to the serpent. To the lion, protection and strength. But the vagrant only gets one kind of prayer. Vengeance, made in a rage against the machine of empire. It is a recipe for a single-minded monster. It won't be enough to simply chase the empire from the shores of the island. The empire must break. Not just the god incarnate, but down to the last priest, last magistrate, last paragon, no matter where they hide in the empire. But then what? What is the vagrant without the empire? What does a god of vengeance do when vengeance has been taken? How much control does Cyrus really have over the gods sharing his body? Kel's relationship with the butterfly is the exact opposite, and the healthiest divine relationship in the book. At no point does the butterfly try to overpower Kel's or enforce her own will. Where the vagrant demands his bloody crown, Kel's is blessed with the power she needs when she asks for it, be it a prayer for healing or the strength to fight. That isn't to say the butterfly is perfect. Her history of pacifism and compromise have led to the death of many, well before the empire reached their shores. Compromise is only good when the other party is operating in, well, good faith. Compromise with someone who only wants to do you harm is just surrender. But the butterfly did learn from the island's first invasion. Kel's journey is a mirror of her goddesses. She compromised her faith and laid down her sword, but being passive in the face of destruction of all she loved meant becoming more than she was before. Measuring her success not in the lives she takes, but in those she saves. The vagrant is the dagger and the shadow, but the butterfly is the shield and the light. I'm going to put this book and this series on my top shelf. Another excellent series from Mr. Dalglish. Vagrant Gods is an unflinching look at colonization and the dark side of religion, with a side of the cost of endlessly seeking revenge. An engaging read from the first page to the last, if not a peaceful one. Thank you for your time. I know everyone's mileage will vary, so feel free to leave your thoughts.